Happy New Year, all you Sand Run Travel travelers. And here we go. We are
Happy New
well
Year.
into 2023. Reg, can you believe it?
The end of the year. I mean, this year has kind of zipped right on by. Everything has just been coming and going. So many things are going on that it's just been a really exciting year. But 23 looks like it's going to be even better yet.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to 23. Maybe we're finally over the pandemic issues. I don't think it'll ever, well, it'll probably be around with us for quite some time, but at least I think most people have been able to normalize it a little bit. Travel has started to get a little bit more normalized, and maybe we can finally put this thing in just a live with it experience and start moving on a little bit better in 2023 towards what our lives should be. I don't know. But given that, we know that San Run Travel will, as always, focus on casino experiences in 2023. But I think in 2023, you're going to see San Run Travel drift more to cruising more, and maybe travel a little bit more by plane than we have in the past. But I know we're going to be cruising more and have a more of a focus on it, right, Reg?
Oh yeah, and because of the way things are going with travel, I mean, you hear so many problems with the airlines and the fact that COVID is coming back, and that they got this new one, RSV, and uh, the cruising just seems to be the one that's most likely to keep you safe, because even though you may be on the ship with a couple of thousand people, if you're out on deck, there's quite a strong wind blowing by as the ship is sailing, and any COVID is going to go right on past
Yeah, it's for most folks. I think people worry about being confined,
you.
but
Right.
the protocols that I think have come up with the cruise lines, and they're doing as good a job as anybody, whether it's a restaurant or a gymnasium or anything like that. I think the cruise lines have done an outstanding job of responding to them. There's always going to be some problems, but let's hope they're less and less as we go forward.
Yeah, well, like some of the things that they've done on the cruise line, like the muster station drills,
Yeah,
where you used to be, confined with a group of maybe 150 people all bunched together. Now you do your muster drill, um, either in an auditorium or you watch it on a video,
yeah.
and then just check in and let them know that you have seen the video and you know what to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's that's been a frequent question that we answered in the last couple of shows about what is a mustard drill, but basically it's a safety drill that we have to go through. Now we did have some casino. I've looked up and found some common, three more common casino questions uh, that were kind of interesting to me. Um, we'll do this every month. The first one was, what is the house edge? I don't know if you're a regular player, you've heard of the house edge. If you're kind of an infrequent casino player, you may not have heard that term. Basically, the house edge is on any casino game, slot, blackjack, craps, uh, three card poker, whatever, Keno. It's the amount that the house believes it's going to win on every game, and the odds are established that way. Typically, if you hear a house edge of 1%, that means for every $100 you wager, the house expects to win one. And the idea behind a lot of games is to reduce the house edge to as near even money as possible. Never going to get it in your favor. At least we haven't found one yet. But
Not yet. We
if
keep
you
looking.
get it down to even money or 1%, like the example, then you're doing very good. right, Reg?
Oh,
You know
oh
what the
yeah.
house edge on your game craps normally is?
I don't remember. I want to say 3% or something like that.
Yeah, I would imagine because that's right about because they list craps as the second best house game. First best is blackjack, and that's around a 2%, two and a quarter, I think,
I
Reg.
think it's right around 3%.
Yeah. Then you get up into some of the other house edges that get into about 6.5%. When you're playing a 6.5% house edge game, it's a tough edge. It's a tough chance to win. One of
Yeah.
the other questions is, can I win playing house games, casino games? And because you hear an awful lot of stories and everything, you hear a lot of bad stories. Typically, you do hear some good stories when somebody wins pretty good. The answer is basically yes. In the short run, more likely you'll win than in the long run. Because remember what we just went over, the house edge says it's going to win.
Right. They don't get those huge buildings in Vegas on the strip by them paying out and losing.
That's for sure. So, Reg,
Yeah.
given all of that, are casino games just all about luck?
Not necessarily all about luck, but luck does play a role. There are some strategies involved. And in some games, the more you know about the game, the better off you're going to be. But luck plays a huge role. Sometimes it's just your turn. You're in the right spot at the right time, and you hit the button on the machine, and the machine goes crazy.
Every slot machine is based on a randomizing technique that's set up individually by slot machine, and some casinos set those randomizers every day, some set them every week, but they are constantly changing. It is an element of luck, especially on slot machines. Whether you happen to be sitting there when the randomizer says it's time to win.
Yeah.
Um,
On the cruise we were just on, I was at a machine with a lady. Her husband came over and said, "Hey, I was looking for you. I didn't know whether I was going to find you or not." And then he left and he went and sat down at a machine. She got it from the machine she was with and walked over to where he was at. And then she came right back within about 3 minutes looking for her player's card. She said, "My husband just hit the machine for $10,000."
oh my gosh,
I
that's
mean,
that's a
that
clue.
fast.
That's a
And
clue
this
for you,
all
neighbor.
this happened within a 10-minute period of time
Yeah,
or less.
yeah. And that's typical on slot machines. It's a little bit less typical on your table games.
Yeah.
Um, Most all table games have an element of strategy in them, depending on which one you particularly like. Table games, roulette, craps, uh, blackjack, three card poker, uh, Caribbean stud, Mississippi stud. They all have an element of strategy with them, but luck still plays a part of it.
There's only one real guaranteed way to win in the casino.
What's that, Reg?
Don't walk in the door.
Yeah, but you didn't win, you just didn't lose.
And if you do walk in the door and you make a bet and the machine gives you a profit, walk back out the door immediately.
I don't know if any of us true gamblers can actually do that, but it is great advice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's one of those difficult things to do, but that's kind of the only way to guarantee that you're going to win.
Isn't that the truth? Okay, let's go on to some cruise questions now. Uh, this was one I found that people ask, and I think it's well worth paying attention to. What's not allowed on the cruise ship? In other words, what don't they want you to bring in? And when I was reading some of the answers on this, struck me that if you're flying to a cruise, most of these things aren't allowed on a plane. So
Right. Yeah.
you
You're not
kind of
supposed to bring
prevent
it
it
with
right
you in the
there.
first place.
But some of them, like illegal drugs, firearms, and ammunition. Come on, that's kind of normal. But this
Yeah.
one A couple of these surprised me. CBD oils, candles, or incense. Well, candles I can understand because they don't want you lighting anything in your cabin.
Same thing
But
with
the
incense,
CBD oils,
just in case you knock it over.
yeah, the CBD oils really did kind of surprise me. I'm not sure if the answer was old or if it's really true. I would suggest for something like that, if you're a fan of CBD, maybe check the protocols of the individual cruise line that you're going on. I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure I had when I was having my bad hip that I had some CBD oil on Carnival Cruise because I was using it for the pain, and I know I
Uh,
brought some back. So
yeah, and in some of the airlines, in their screening process, if they see CBD oil, might pull your stuff out also.
yeah, especially if it's a large amount.
Hmm.
Then some of the other things are pretty obvious. Think about electrical appliances. They really don't want you to have any coffee makers, hot plates, irons, steamers, um,
Now, the one
extension
got me was
cords.
baby monitors. I mean, I
Baby
know I've seen,
monitors are included in that. They don't like that.
right, I know I've seen people with walkie-talkies, and a baby monitor is not much different than that.
Yeah,
That one really kind of surprised me when I saw that one.
yeah. So again, on all these that you hear maybe on the show here that I've listed, check with your individual cruise line. They will have a list of what's not acceptable that you might want to watch out for. Some are just so logical, like flammable liquids and explosives.
Right.
Don't take any of your own fireworks on a ship. Some of them were like hookah pipes, perishable meats and foods. We know they don't like them. They never let them on. Alcoholic beverages, true alcohol. Wine is usually okay, except for MSC to take a bottle or so on, but generally not anything like scotch or gin or something like that. And they really don't like a lot of like swimming equipment, floats, inner tubes, beach balls,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I was surprised when I saw beach balls because I would think, if you were going to the beach yourself, you might want to take the beach ball with you. But I know they don't like the beach ball in the pools on the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah, yeah. So just be aware there are some things that the cruise lines don't like. Most of them are pretty reasonable, pretty understandable. But if you're taking anything, especially in electronics or alcohols or drugs or something like that, you may want to check your cruise line to make sure it's acceptable.
Yeah, even though like even marijuana use is acceptable in some places around the country,
Yeah,
and they do have where they have legalized it for personal use. It's not legalized everywhere, and the cruise ships still don't allow that. Also, and it's also one of those things that the airlines still don't allow you to carry.
yeah.
So, that could create a whole new set of problems if even though you may be able to do it at home, you're not able to do that when you're traveling.
Yep. Then this is something that I can't honestly say that I have ever done. I've been cruising for 17, 18 years now, but I know a lot of folks do it. Can you do laundry on board a cruise ship?
Well,
Red?
yeah, well, you can do the laundry, but I would suggest you take things that you don't need to launder because the laundry rooms do tend to get crowded. They do tend to be busy. And if you have the staff do the laundry for you, it can be an expensive
Yeah,
proposition.
yeah, that's true. I
So,
imagine we haven't seen a lot of it because most of our cruises are mostly for adults. We don't do a
right.
lot of family with kids type cruising. I would imagine if I had a family that I had on a cruise line, I might be more inclined to be uh,
Right.
doing some laundry and being required to do some laundry, really.
And maybe even on some of the longer cruises like the 15, 30-day cruises, there's
Yeah,
a possibility you may need to do laundry. That and that times that would make sense to me. But on a 7, 8 day cruise and anything shorter than that, usually you can pack enough clothes that you're going to be able to change enough that you're not going to have to do the laundry. And by the time you get back home, you'll have enough to just take everything out the suitcase and get the laundry in the washer and get things cleaned up
Yeah.
before it's time for the next trip.
Yeah, the one thing is, and one of the answers was to remind people if you are going to do that, take some laundry detergent with you. I'd probably recommend the little pods. Uh,
Yes,
so rather than trying to pack a bunch of detergent or little packages, but the
and
pods
if you're
would
going to
probably be a good
pack them
idea.
in a plastic bag, because if
Yeah.
that pod breaks inside your suitcase, you're going to have a mess.
So anyway, that's about laundry. Most ships do have a laundry service that you can do. It's just we haven't experienced the need for it too often. Then the last question we're going to cover today is the loudest cruise staterooms. And some of the I disagree with a couple of the things I read. One of them recommends staying away from elevators. And in my experience on cruise ships, your staterooms are on the sides of the way the elevators are set up,
Yeah, you're
and
not usually near an elevator most of the time. You
quite
may have to
frankly,
you may be close to an elevator where you're going to have to walk down the hall and then make a turn to go into the
yeah,
area where the elevator's at. But the rooms themselves are not normally near an elevator to the
yeah,
point you're going to hear anything.
and quite
Now, you
frankly, I
can get
like
some
it.
floors that are more noisy than others because you got a floor that's got a lot of families and kids on it, and they're running up and down the hallways. But short of that, not normally the elevators are going to be that much of a problem.
No, and I happen to like being near one.
Absolutely.
Because it kind of
Uh,
gets me. I usually try to get my stateroom near an elevator that goes directly into the casino area. That way I don't have to walk so much.
and I usually want to get a stateroom that's center ship,
Yeah.
because if you're on one end or the other, you got a lot of distance to go to get to the other end of the ship.
And quite frankly, some of the staterooms on the front or the back of the ship can be a little bit louder because if you're really near a nightclub, which frequently are at the front or the back end of the ships, and you're especially underneath them or right above them, they can get loud at certain times. Although they do close down around midnight, 1 o'clock, they can get loud. The other thing is if you are near the front, I think the anchors are usually in the front. That can be a problem.
And
You
if you're in
might
the
hear
back
them
and you're on
during
the
night.
lower decks, you may hear the engines running.
Yeah. But in general, as long as you avoid certain things or ensure that you're not ex- directly below activity areas, you should be fine. But there are areas I've been in. We once had a stateroom, a corner ocean view stateroom. I forget what cruise line it was on, in the back of the ship, and we ended up being directly over the engines. And we did have a little bit of noise that we had to deal with. Not a lot. We got used to it after a day. But if you're sensitive to those kind of things, just be a little wary of where your statement rooms might be, especially if they're
Absolutely.
directly below or directly above some of the high activity areas.
Mhm. And
Given that, Reg, next thing on the docket is for you to tell us all about the Carnival celebration that you just came off of.
the Carnival Celebration is a gorgeous ship. It carries a little over 6,000 passengers. It has a crew of over 1,700 people. So it's quite a huge ship. Um, it has a number of things to do on the ship. Your standard comedy club and your standard restaurants and bars. The one thing I really liked was the way the restaurant is set up, and that may be due to the COVID, that they don't have you as crowded into the main dining room as they've had as sometimes in the past. They had it spread out a little bit more, so you're not just right up on top of each other in the main dining rooms. Um, the they have the tribute bar for the veterans that's in centership, and they had some kind of tribute going on every day, where they honored all the veterans that were on the ship, and they did that constantly, which was I thought was really good, um, because those that have served the country deserve what all the credit that we can give them and all the honor that we can muster for them. They had this one also has the roller coaster on it, just like the Carnival Mardi Gras. So now there's two ships at sea that has roller coasters on them. They have a pretty nice play area for the kids. Upstairs, they have a walking track. They had the cornhole games, big chess boards, putt putt golf, things like that. They had basketball court. Let's see.
Well, I know you mentioned to me that it was the biggest casino you'd ever seen.
The casino itself was huge. It's probably twice the size of most casinos on most cruise ships. Um, but the casino itself, with 6,000 people, was normally pretty packed. But it could have been because the cruise that I was on was a cruise that was catering to the gambling crowd.
Okay.
So I think that that was the reason. I mean, most of the time you went in, the tables were full. You could find a machine because there was enough in there, but you may have to walk around a little bit to find one.
Boy, that is a
Uh,
difference from normal.
yeah, yeah. Um, the bar service inside the casino is good. They tended to know, if you were on a machine and they came and got you once, they were going to come back and check on you and see if you needed something else. And they most of the time would remember what you was drinking the last time they came and saw you,
Cool.
which was pretty good.
Cool.
The staff was really friendly and upbeat. Um, Everyone, because the ship was so huge and because it was so new, it took us most of the week to figure out where we were and how to get there again. By the time we figured it out, it was almost time to go. Which is kind of typical. We've traveled on quite a few Carnival ships, and the layout on a lot of them are pretty similar. So once we get on a ship, we can usually get things within a day or two. We kind of know
Yeah.
where stuff is at. This one, um, some days we would think we were walking toward the forward, and we were walking towards aft. Um,
That's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, where's such and such a club? Well, it's back there. You just walked past it. And it's like, oh, okay. So there was that part of it, but the staff was really friendly, and there was always someone there to point you in the right direction. They had a huge photo gallery where you could get your photos and take a look at them, and everything was computerized. So you could actually just go to a screen, pull your folio up of all the photos that had been taken of you, and you could see everything that was there and available.
Wow, that's different.
And all this was on the computer, and then you could pick out what you wanted to purchase if, in fact, you wanted to purchase any of the pictures that they had taken of you or your family while you're on the trip.
As we keep telling us older generation, you got to tune into the computer generation if you're going to really get the full enjoyment out of anything anymore, right?
Everything is going computer, so everything is smartphones and smart TV, but some of this stuff is way too smart for us.
Well, that sounds like you had one heck of a time out there. Now we look forward to going to Panama Canal next month. So hopefully, you folks will join us on some of our adventures this year. Check the website, see where we're going, let us know, and we'll be happy to take you with us. Reg,
Yep.
give me number 35 from last month for our $25 gift certificate.
Number 35 is Jen Green Lieberman.
Jen,
And I don't,
Jen Green
I don't,
Lieberman, eh?
yeah, I don't know if Jen has ever traveled with us. She is someone that I do know through Facebook, and we will see if we can reach out to her and get her certificate, and maybe we can get Jen to join us at some point in time on a future trip.
I certainly hope so. And until then, folks, we wish you a happy new year and hope it's a prosperous, healthy, and adventuresome time.
The new year is coming, and no matter how bad 22 may have been, 23 is a new opportunity to gain some, open up some